Attorney General. The point of order is that he is misrepresenting the Mr. Speaker, the judgment at no point required the government of Guyana to impose more taxes. The minister read three options. One of those options is to revoke the tax. Thank you.
Honourable members, this is a debate. The Honourable Attorney General is stating his perception and view on the matter, and therefore, I will not be able to allow a point of order on that matter. There's a right of rebuttal by any other speaker, but not a point of order. Go ahead, please, Mr.
Upon the filing of the said report, the parties shall have liberty to apply in respect of any matter contained in the said report. So when a non-compliance report is filed, then we are back before the court for the court to make any further order, which can continue to be exposing us to even more punitive order. Not exposing me. Why are you exposing me? I am simply a conveyor of the verdict of this National Assembly. So I will go back to the court and I will report what has happened. In those circumstances, Mr. Speaker, I support the Prime Minister's motion. I believe, sir, that we have a court order that we ought to comply with. I heard Mr. Greenidge speak about some consultant, Mr. or Dr. Antoine. I spoke to the gentleman myself only last week in Antigua, and to date, he and the private sector cannot arrive at a position in relation to whatever they are trying to work out. That I spoke to him as well as to Mr. Ramesh Duku, Caribbean agency of private sector and the CARICOM heads of government. So this story that is being peddled, that the private sector is in consultation with this goodly gentleman, Dr. Antoine, is that they are in consultation, and the consultation have taken an inordinately long period of time. You would recall, sir, that the government, through the instrumentality of the Minister of Finance, deferred this bill on several occasions last year. It was during that time that this case was pending before the Caribbean Court of Justice. The court was adjourned. The court adjourned itself to facilitate the passage of the bill. A copy of this bill was laid before the court. It's not that the court was unaware of the content. A draft of the bill was annexed to an affidavit and sent to the court. The court reviewed it, and the court and the lawyer on the other side accepted that that bill would have brought Guyana into compliance. As a result, the court adjourned the matter. I don't know that Mr. Greenidge knows more law than 5 law lords who sit at the Caribbean Court of Justice. Those judges reviewed the bill. Those judges reviewed the bill, and they accepted that if the bill is enacted, it would have brought Guyana into compliance. And on that basis, on that basis, Mr. Speaker, the court adjourned its proceedings for several months to facilitate this bill being passed in the Parliament. So I will go back to Justice Byron, who is the President, Justice Nelson, Justice Saunders, Justice Smith, and Justice Hayton, and tell them that Carl Greenidge no more law than them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honourable Prime Minister, you may. Go ahead, please.
I just want to quote, because he was not calling the paragraphs to quote it from, but I want to quote from the judgment of the Court of Caribbean Justice. This is paragraph 20. This is
Honourable members, you, both the Honourable Attorney General and you now, Mr. Ramjatan, are doing the House a great disservice by not circulating copies of this document
it is on the way that I got
that you were quoting from.
that just
Parliament, quickly, please.
no state can be allowed to carve out an exception to the observance of its treaty obligations by seeking refuge in an inability to garner sufficient legislative support to repeal or amend existing national law. And that is what this court was saying. Opponent bill requires member states to take appropriate measures. One such appropriate measure is to repeal Section 7 so that nobody is taxed. Outside people and inside the Guyana. But he doesn't want to bring that. He wants to bring the $5, 5 from outside and 5 from inside.
Right, that's right.
Thank you, Mr. Honorable Prime Minister, you may respond, having taken the vote of the House.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, honorable members, having listened to the debate, I would like to go back to the position that I urged earlier, that we do separate.
One second, Prime Minister. Sorry, sir. One second. Members, in our President's house, there are some students who are doing service training with us. And I think we're giving them a fine example of what it is to be in the honorable house of the land. This is not good enough. Not good enough. And so I'm asking members, please, to refrain from insulting each other. Remember that we are representing the people of Guyana in its highest forum, and they deserve better than what they're hearing from both sides. It's coming from both sides of the house. The people deserve better than what they're hearing this house. Go ahead, please, Honorable Prime Minister.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm saying that having heard the debate, I would like to return to my earlier position in which I urged members of this House to separate the two things that we have on our paper here this afternoon. We are now speaking to the motion to suspend the standing orders so that the bill could be introduced later. I think from what we heard, all of us in this House are agreed that Guyana, the state of Guyana, is in breach. We've all agreed that it is in breach. And I hope that we all recognize that it is the state that is in breach, not just the government, not just the opposition, and certainly not us as individuals. And we would have heard in the ruling that there was a certain fine imposed on Guyana, the state of Guyana, and I think with that, there is the threat that if the breach continues, there would be ongoing fines placed on us as a nation, as a whole, as a state. So we are in agreement. We are in agreement that we are in breach, and I would like to assume that we are in agreement that we should take steps to come out of the breach, and that is what the government has been seeking to do. That is what the government, that is why the government has introduced the bill that is on our order paper subsequently, and to accommodate that, we have introduced this motion here. And I would like us to focus on this motion here as we go to take a vote now. Mr. Speaker, it does appear that the members of the opposition have a different approach from the government on how to resolve this breach. But I would like to say, let us address that question when we go to the substantial motion. And if I heard for members of the opposition well, and looking at the bill myself, they are free to raise amendments to fashion the bill in the way that they would like to have it fashioned. What we have here, sir, is a difference in the way as to how we should resolve this breach. But I think that we are all together that we should bring an end to this breach. So let us proceed and pass this motion here that is the subject of our debate at this time. And then by the time we get to the substantial bill, I would presume that the opposition are capable enough
to come up with some small amendments if they so wish to fashion the bill to their heart's desire. I thank you, sir, and I now move the motion to suspend the standing order so that we could debate the substantial bill later. I move that the motion be approved.
Honourable members, I recognize two Prime Minister, two other members of the House indicated their desire to speak on the bill. The first is the Honourable Minister of Foreign Affairs, and then Mr. Bassett.
What is before us? We know that we are in contravention of the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas. We also know we are in contravention of the WTO and our agreement, the Economic Partnership Agreement. Mr. Speaker, I would humbly suggest to take this bill to select committee. That is, of course, if this motion is approved. And there I think we would be able to have some discussions and come to some agreement so that our country would not be in this situation, continue to be in this situation, and face even more court cases. And we are coming up for our WTO trade policy review next year. We've already started that process. So, Mr. Speaker, I'm beseeching my colleagues on the other side, if it's possible for us to pass this motion, go to select committee, let us have the negotiations rather than kill the bill at this point in time. I think that we have enough good minds in this House, Mr. Speaker, that we would be able to do that. I've heard some suggestions from the other side, and I think we would be able to sit and discuss that in the select committee. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable Mr. Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I believe it's important that we bring the involvement of this issue that was before the CCJ to this Honourable House and indeed to the people of Ghana. My time respectfully before you, sir, page 4 of the judgment, paragraph 7. It says this. And this clarifies the entire situation here now. Guyana has enacted the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas into its domestic law in the form of the Caribbean Community Act 206, number 80. As previously indicated, Guyana imposes an environmental tax on all imported non-returnable beverage containers pursuant to Section 70 of the Customs Act, as amended by the Guyana Fiscal Amendments Amendment Act number 3 of 1995. The effect of this tax is that the cost of each imported beverage packaged in non-returnable containers is increased by Guyana $10. And this is what is important. The manufacturers of locally made non-returnable beverage containers do not pay this tax. The tax applies only to imported containers. The tax legislation does not contain any exemptions in relation to non-returnable beverage containers which qualify for community treatment. So this is the problem. This was discriminatory under the rules of the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas. What the government is proposing to do to resolve this issue, sir, is to impose a tax on the local. No.
That is what you're doing.
That's what they want to do. They want to, since it's discriminatory that they only impose the tax on the imported on the foreigners, what they're proposing to do in this bill is to impose the tax on the local manufacturers of these non-returnable beverage containers, and in that way, they will no longer be discriminated on the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas. That's what it is. And we are saying we are overtaxed in this nation by this government. We do not support it. It doesn't make sense to go into any committee anyway. We are not going to support it.
All right. I thank the judge to close again. And again, I would like to urge that we separate in our minds the two issues. Mr. Honorable Member Williams was just spoken. We can respond. We can respond to what he has said, but I don't think it is appropriate at this time of this motion of this motion which we are now debating. And again, I would like to urge Mr. Speaker that we support this motion and we go on to the bill. We've had a proposal that the bill be sent to a special select committee. My belief is that we could even have amendments put by the opposition so that we could proceed and remove Guyana from being in breach and running grave risks of offending not only in the region but maybe even at the level of the WTO also. And I move once again, sir, that this motion be put and that we all support it and get back on to the full debate of the substantial bill.
Honourable members, I put the question, and that is that the motion standing in the name of the Lord Prime Minister be adopted by the House. Those in favour say aye. Aye. Those against say no. No. Division has been formed. There's some division bill, and then we will proceed to take the vote.